allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Secretary to know roll call.
All members present.
Correspondent report. Pat?
Okay, so I'm just going to talk money because that's all this report is going to be, is about money. The state is in pretty good financial picture here. They've got, they estimated what their tax collections were going to be in January. They're like 1.6 billion over that. So what they decide to do with that money, you know, is going to be, are they going to put it into education? You know, what are they going to do with it? I think there's like $5 billion into it. So whatever, however they decide what they're going to do with that. Governor Evers took some of the money from the Federal American Rescue Plan Act, $90 million, and he gave it to districts based on enrollment, so much per student, which our portion of that is $64,625. $15 million is to provide mental health services in K-12 schools, which I'm really happy to see that. And the other $75 million is designed to keep districts flexible, meeting staff needs, keep classroom sizes small. They realize that the districts are facing huge issues, staffing challenges, increased student mental health records, exacerbated by the pandemic and the closures. And we all know that, you know, when the schools shut down, the kids probably suffered the most, academically, socially, and emotionally. So they want to put money in to try and shore that up a little bit. And then Governor Evers released his budget, his K-12 budget, an increase of nearly $2 billion. And they figure with the money that we have in that, it should be without raising any property taxes. Reading and literacy outcomes, expand mental health, invest in financial literacy, help address the staff shortages, increase per pupil in special education aid. Wouldn't that be nice? And then about a week later, then the DPI submitted their budget. And it's like $2.5 billion. And they basically the same thing, but there was a couple of added things. Create predictable and sustainable funding for schools. How long have we been talking about that? Forever.
Yeah, and I think isn't part of it based on the fact that all of us are going to be experiencing a big drop once the ESSER funds
Yes.
go away, and this budget kicks in that following
Yes, because
year.
you know people are districts. Well, the ones that jump through the hoops to get it,
Right.
you're relying on that money, and you know if you budgeted knowing that down the road you're not going to have that money.
Right.
So maybe this will
Right.
help shore that up a little
Right.
bit.
I think that's part of the intent.
So that's
hopefully.
what hers is for. Strengthening Wisconsin public libraries. Right, Ed? So that's it. That's my. We'll see how the budget turns
Okay,
out.
yeah. Obviously, this is
I mean,
just
this
the
is their
beginning.
proposal, but now you know
Right.
whatever they.
Is the beginning.
Yep.
But once it's adopted, it's a 2-year budget, so,
Mhm.
yeah, so we need to pay attention. Any questions or comments for Pat? Hearing none, moving on. CISA report. Mick, anything?
Yeah, we are just moving forward with the new administration. There's been some growing pains, but you know that happens. But I think all in all is well, and we'll survive that too. So as Jesse alluded to in the last email we got, CISA 7 is facilitating that nursing grant. There are, like any money you get, there are some restrictions, but not nearly what came with the ESSER funds, so we got much more flexibility with that. Again, that's supposed to address pupil numbers. It's going to be addressed by your pupil numbers, poverty, and it's a one-year deal. So, you know, I'm sure we'll get more information on that. Goals. We have a goal-setting night for CISA, so I'm going to have a little chat with you before I sit down there. And the National Rural Schools Conference is in Green Bay this year in October, the 20th and the 21st. So, if anybody would want to attend that, get online and register yourself.
Didn't you go once to one of those?
I went years ago when I first got on the board. It was in La Crosse, Stevens Point. And I don't know if it wasn't the national one, it was a state level one. And I sat with a couple of members one member from the Luxembourg Casco district, and she was, they had so many students, and they needed more space, and I said, well, why don't you just realign the districts? I'm new,
Give
why
us
don't you
a
just
few.
realign the districts? And she said, oh, no, we would never want to do that, give up any, and I understand that, but, and there were a lot of districts that are like ours who were struggling. I mean, when I first got on board, it was ugly, and their big dilemma was whether they should have Spanish in the grade school. That was that they were really struggling over. I thought, wow.
Yeah, different struggles.
Because
different
they are
places.
also considered a small school, even though they
Right.
are considered we consider them a very big school. They are considered a small school too. So I did go to something like that, but this is much different. This is at the national level. So,
Yeah, and the fact, obviously, they wouldn't be doing the national one in the state of Wisconsin all the time. So what you're saying
Right.
is this is an opportunity.
right. So,
All right,
if anybody's interested in going, it's right in Green Bay, so,
okay, that's good to know.
Where's it at, do you know?
no.
Okay, we can always look it up.
I want to say the KI Center.
Okay.
That's what I want to say. So I'll say it.
Good.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, any questions for Mick? All right, student representative report. I'd like to welcome Max Weinberg to our gathering here. We look forward to getting your reports every month and getting the students' input on things.
Thank you. Well, I've been introduced, so sports have begun. There's cross-country, football, soccer, and volleyball. I think there's a volleyball game playing as we speak, and there's a soccer game that I saw outside as I was driving up here. The students are currently talking with Mr. Brinkman about this food that's being served during lunch. The musical has been announced. It is Shrek. I think it's Shrek. I think it's just Shrek, not Shrek Jr. And homecoming is coming up, and for each grade there's different themes for kind of what they would, because each year there's a skit, a float, and they decorate the hallway, and each grade has a different theme. Freshmen are Spider-Man, sophomores are Teen Titans Go, my grade, which is juniors, they're the Incredibles, and the seniors are, they're doing Batman as their theme. So,
Excellent. Yeah, homecoming, that's next week.
Next week, yeah.
It was a fun week to come by and see all the decorations. Thank you, Max. I don't have any misconceptions and rumors. So public participation, did anyone sign in to speak?
Nope.
We'll keep moving. Board president announcements. I'm thrilled to get the weekly updates from Jesse every week saying that things are going smoothly. Not that I doubted that, but it's always nice to hear. But I do want to just sort of go through some different meetings and things coming up, sort of like you, to just give people the heads up to be. So the regional meeting, which is October 5th, I don't know who all has signed up for it, but that is on the 5th of October, so that is next week coming up. There's a 4 o'clock workshop, pre-regional meeting workshop, and then the dinner at 6:30. This fall, again, fall advocacy workshops, connecting with lawmakers, and as you were saying, there's all these proposals out there now, so we need to get our voices in there to help them, make the right decisions. So those of you on the legislative committee might want to see if these dates work for you. The one in Green Bay is Thursday, November 10th. It does require registration. There is a dinner at 6 and program 6:30 to 8:30.
Can I just see that for a minute?
Yeah, you can have that. And then I just want to remind people, because, when I remember to put this on my calendar and being I'm retired, and so 12 o'clock noon is a possible time for me, that I watch the free webinars that they offer. I'm always like, oh, this is such good information. So I just wanted to remind people, the next one coming up is October 19th at 12 noon. That's the legal and legislative video update. That's what they do every month for free, and they give you such a good range of what's going on in the legal aspect of it. So it's free. Registration isn't required. On that day, you just hit the link and it brings you up to it. And it's usually from 12 to 1. So October 19th at noon and November 16th at noon. So I found that if I write it in on my calendar, or those of you who put everything in on your phones, then if I'm able to that day, sometimes it doesn't work, but they're always very, very worthwhile. And it's free, so don't want to miss opportunities like that.
Can I add to that?
You can.
So I met with John Ashley this afternoon, actually. He's making his way around, meeting virtually with all the new superintendents throughout the state. And so
Nice.
I think I called up today at 2 o'clock, but met with them. And I just think they offer some great services to districts.
Yeah.
I think the partnership is really important
Mhm.
for school districts to have.
Yes, yeah, I think it's a very good state association. Okay, we'll move right into the administration reports. That's you, Jesse.
All right, first thing is an update on the middle school and high school library. It is coming along very well. If you've been up there, you've noticed we've got new bookshelves in. The books are all on the shelves thanks to the help of some kids that have volunteered some time. We are looking at adding some furniture such as tables, flexible seating, to make the space a little more welcoming. So that's our next steps, but we are well under our way to getting that library back in working conditions. So we've got kids that have been using it already. They just plop themselves down on the floor and plug into an outlet next to them, so they are enjoying the space. So
And we're gonna have more, I don't wanna say high-tech, that's, shows my age. Technology kinds of connections in that room too, right? I mean, that's the ultimate plan?
it is, it's not wired for probably as much as we would hope for, but we can definitely get creative, and with kids being one-to-one right now,
Mhm.
all they really need is a power source.
Right.
So.
Yeah, cool.
Third Friday count was on the 16th, and so we're working hard. That's something we're gonna be doing on Wednesday this week, is submitting our final report to DPI. Just wanna stress the importance of Third Friday numbers because it really determines a lot of our funding that we receive. As a district, we receive a certain amount per pupil or per student in our district. So having an accurate count of how many kids were in desks that day will determine how much money we get for the rest of the year, basically. And so what we're anticipating or what we're seeing right now is our open enrollment is slightly higher than what it has been in years past.
Good.
And a few of those kids are actually receiving some special education services. So we actually get a little more funding for those students as well. So we're hopeful that our numbers will be up from what they have been. SRO contract, so I passed out a document with some numbers, be working with the city on this. And the city's finance committee met last week, Tuesday, I believe, and came back with a counter to some of the numbers that we had looked at, basically the hourly rate. And so those numbers are in front of you. I know it is on the agenda for later tonight for an action item, so we can have a further discussion once we get down to that item on the agenda. And then the last one is the emergency management plan. That's also included in your board packet. It's the colored document. This is a one-page document that outlines what the staff response is, as well as the administrative response on the backside. in the event of the highlighted emergency situations that you see in the different colors. So ranging from a lockdown that may be a non-emergency situation to an active situation, so someone coming in with a weapon into the school, just a plain evacuation if we had to get the kids and staff out of the buildings, code blue, which is a medical situation, bomb threat, which we experienced last year, as well as the missing child during school or after school. So I want to thank the admin team for really looking closely at this and kind of fine tuning it to what the district has been doing, as well as some new practices. So this document, if approved tonight, will go into all of the classrooms for teachers to have access to. Our next steps would be to look at this information and create a more in-depth plan, very similar to this plan that the district has been using in the past. So,
Okay, at what point does our city police department and county police get involved in so that so we know what our roles are? I think it's important for them to know what our roles are, but it's also important for us to know what their role is and what are they gonna do. So that's a piece of the puzzle we still have to work on?
we will have to work on that as
Okay.
And under the administration side, I mean, there are in it, you know, if not already in communication with call, police, the SRO/police, you know, 911. So I think, you know, like you say, the details of who and who's gonna do it and all that have to be
Well,
worked out, but,
I'm just thinking the bomb threat that we had,
oh, yeah.
and, you know, when we have something like that, the police are obviously gonna be called in, but what is their role going to be? What are they responsible for?
And that's what I was hoping the safety committee could give
Yeah.
us some input on.
So this was the first piece.
Mhm.
There's another
Yep.
piece to this, so.
Yeah, we obviously have a few more things, but this outlines what we do. And I think some of it, after experiencing that bomb threat, I think the administration learned a few things and probably put some of that knowledge into this to fine tune it. And I do know at the hospital, we had like a flip chart, which was very helpful when there were emergency type situations, when they were on every floor and you could go to it and, you know, because in those situations, it can be pretty tense.
Mhm.
And so if you can look and, you know, the other thing is, you know, drills. I know drills will happen and that kind of thing too, so people will get familiar with it. But I think this is a real nice thing to have.
and I think, Pat, just to clarify what you're speaking about is the tabletop exercises that we would like to do with the different agencies. That's where we'll determine how people are gonna respond in different situations. So what would the fire department's response be? What would the police department's response be?
Because we need to know that, and they need to know what our response is, so we can all work on this, in the same page, in the same book.
Yep.
I just noticed one inconsistency on the missing child between the admin side and the staff side. The admin side says call student's name over the PA. The staff side says office will announce, teachers check your areas and will email the name of the student.
We will look into that, thank you.
Yep.
Good job.
Good hiding
proofing.
spots. Oh my goodness, such hiding spots.
And
But wouldn't this just to be to let the office know, and then administration then would put it out over the PA?
Yeah, because this is the staff side.
Right.
To report a missing child,
Yes.
the office is going to announce it, but teachers check your areas. Yeah, it's sort of misleading. So do you want the staff to email the
Give
name
email
to?
or-
And then,
the
and
PA.
then the administration would take care of the bulletin, hey? Or do you want the teacher on the intercom saying, we're missing a student? I think that's how I'm taking that. It's a teacher's
responsibility to let the office know we have a missing student, and then administration would take it
Say
from there.
teachers, check your areas, and then.
That's
it
how I'm
would go.
interpreting that?
Yeah.
Is that how you
Right.
guys were interpreting that
Right.
too?
I think it's important to call a student's name over the PA because the student could be in the restroom
Yeah,
or could be
I
in the
do too.
hallway, out of sight of staff members, so.
Or you could be trying to climb down the hallway and avoid the cameras like we had about 10 years ago.
Smart kid for knowing where the cameras are.
I know at the elementary, we do not currently share names of the students over the PA just because it does project outside
Mm.
for anybody who's out there to hear. So that's why we do email the names. I don't know if that makes a difference up here, but I think that would be something that we'd wanna definitely get on the same page about. So that it's,
Yeah, and I think there's some good reasons
yeah.
behind that. I think though, overhead, teachers check your areas, so everybody's making sure that everybody that's supposed to have is there, is important to do overhead, so everybody's immediately informed. Any other comments?
Good work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and we will
Start.
bring this to, at action, we'll either decide to approve it with some of these comments. I think it'd be nice to get them in the room, I think. But we can decide that at action. Anything else, Jesse?
I am complete. Thank you.
Any questions for Jesse from the board? Okay, moving on, elementary principals report, Katie.
Alright, just wanted to highlight some beginning of year bright spots. This month has gone by so quickly, but it really was a great start to the school year. And that, I say that coming from a scheduling perspective at the elementary school, coming from a staffing perspective, just everything kind of seemed to fall into place really well to start the school year. So I think that's kudos to the teachers, to our teacher leaders, our new staff. I just think collectively, everyone is in a really great place to just work together this year and move forward from kind of some of the things that were weighing us down a little bit the last 2 years. We don't have as many new staff at the elementary school, but we do have quite a few district-wide. Today was our first mentor-mentee work day. We did not meet as a whole group, but we kind of gave the mentor-mentee pairs an assignment to kind of reflect on this first month, kind of pick a bright spot, something that's been a challenge for them, something that went really well for them, something they need help with. And then we shared an article that just hopefully brings some awareness to the different kinds of people that are in a school setting and how important it is to surround yourself with people who support you and make sure that you're connecting with the people who will lift you up and not drain you. So that was the work that they did. I think the mentor-mentee pairs are doing an excellent job, so that's a huge bright spot. Our teachers and our students have just been out and about all month long. It's been so warm, I think they wanted to get out of the building as much as possible. Especially those first 2 weeks, so they were down at the beach, they were at the park, they were all over town, so that's been really nice. And then a couple things to look forward to. We already have our 5th and 6th grade students approaching me about the first 5th and 6th grade dance. The first one last year was in January, so they want to do one in October already. I don't know if it's going to work out date-wise and supervision-wise, but they're eager to get going on that. And then also I am meeting with a woman by the name of Mariah, and she and I are going to talk a little bit about starting some 4-H programming at the elementary school. Not sure if it'll be an after-school thing or if it'll be a during the school day thing, more of a lunch club type of situation, but we're going to meet and talk about that. So that's exciting. Popcorn Friday is coming up this Friday. Picture Day, we had that. That was a success. Just a lot of little things that just worked really well. Huge thank you to the PTS once again. If you've been out on the playground, you'll notice that there's a little playhouse with a tunnel and a little fence. The PTS used some of the money that they fundraised last year to purchase that for us. We installed that, it was the second day of school, actually. I was notified, I think it was like Thursday or Friday, that they would be coming. They said, we're gonna come Monday. I said, ooh, how about not Monday? That's the first day of school, so let's push it back to Tuesday, and they were flexible with that. But PTS is always supportive, and just a huge thank you to them for their continued work with us. And then lastly, I just wanted to share about a speaker that is coming in October, by the name of Jeff Valley, October 14th on a Friday. I may have mentioned this before. We're still in the works of a final schedule, but he is a resiliency education speaker. So he kind of talks about his life experiences with bullying and growing up with some traumatic events happening to him, and how he was able to kind of turn that adversity into resilience and use it as an opportunity. So he kind of comes at conflict and adversity from the lens of using it to empower ourselves to stand up for what we want, what we prefer, and what we know is right. So it's a little bit of a, kind of touches on some bullying topics, but it definitely takes a more introspective approach, empowering students of all ages to build their emotional resilience and things that they can do. He talks about, the typical things that we try to teach our students or our children about bullying, like tell an adult, ignore it, walk away. Those aren't strategies that necessarily work all the time, nor are they problem-solving oriented and empowering. So he kind of will teach the students some other practical strategies that they can use if they're in a conflict situation, whether it be bullying or just a peer conflict, a friend situation. But I'm excited for that. So the elementary school will be partaking in that. Teachers, we're trying to coordinate something for parents to come in as well.
That's
But
what I was
we just have
gonna
to kind of
ask,
work out the timing.
who the audience is for this, so.
Yeah.
And when is this happening?
October 14th, Friday, October 14th. So very exciting. And I can share out the schedule with everybody, or I can send it to Jesse and he can send it to you, once it's set in stone.
October 14th.
All of you are welcome to come as well.
That sounds like a really good experience. Thank you for setting
He
that
has a
up.
website if you want to check it out, it's just jeffbelly.com.
Yeah, I would
And there's some
think I'd
video
like to go
snippets,
there.
and it kind of will walk through, what he stands for and what his message is all about. So it's definitely worth it.
Okay. Any other questions for Katie?
Dave?
Dave?
Mariah from the county, right?
Yep.
What did she base her wishes on?
What do you mean?
Why does she want to join the
Well,
school?
She said she just wants to expand the offerings to more students in the county, is what she told me in her email. I haven't met with her face to face yet, so I'm not sure there's any specifics.
It's
or-
4-H is, if the family doesn't get involved, it's not gonna work.
Mhm.
Because they work all year on their projects for the fair.
Mm.
And if, she's brand new, I know, she replaced Joe Jurgensen.
Okay.
And that's, I heard about it last week and I was wondering what she had in mind. To be fair to her, I listened to her before I would say yes or no.
Yeah,
But I would enter into that very, very carefully.
very good to know. But I'll make a note definitely of that family component, that,
On the other hand, we've been trying in the fair to get the high school and grade school art program involved in entering projects, and it's almost impossible. I don't know why.
My understanding from when I've talked to her and met with her is that she's trying to break down some of the barriers of the transportation. Some of the transportation issues that some of our families face, so not being able to get there at night or,
Yeah, but she's going, when most of them people are doing their chores or working, if you're going after school, then how are you gonna get the family involved if it's 3:30 in the afternoon?
Right.
They aren't putting themselves in the customer's shoes, is what I'm saying.
The thing is, it doesn't have to just be rural farm families, though. I mean, I know when I was younger, and I don't know what age I was, I And I was in Alloway, and we certainly didn't have
Definitely.
animals, so, you know,
My kids are involved in 4-H.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so not every project with 4-H requires a whole year of prep for a showing at a fair or something, I guess is all I'm saying.
The average family that was not available to come work on projects at 3:30 in the afternoon, is what I'm saying. And I just would like to, if she's interested, come and make a presentation to the board. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, I
Yeah.
wanna know.
Yeah, what her
what
ideas
you're
are.
shooting for.
Yeah, what our ideas are,
If
and,
that's a county position, and the county might be trying to pass it off onto the schools.
And this is brand new. This is not something they've tried in any other school districts before, so we would be the first that they're looking at.
I'd be very hesitant.
yeah. But maybe it would be one of those things where it could spur on some of the art, like you're talking about, you know, some different areas of interest. Let people realize that it isn't just if you have animals that you want to show at the fair or something. So,
We had over 5,000 entries that weren't animal parts.
well, what I'm saying, Dave, is I, for one, have no idea what 4-H has to offer. So I think there's a lot of education that could be, you know, available to people like that, you know, that's what I mean. So, we'll see. Anything else for Katie? All right, we are moving on. Dave, middle school, high school principals report.
All right, so stealing a page from Katie. Also would like to highlight some of the beginning of the year bright spots. And one of the things we're focusing on at the high school is engaging, igniting, and connecting. So some of the projects that I've seen take place already is Mr. Demise has had his middle school students out along the edge of the school property and then across the road over here picking up trash. And then he ties that into citizenship, etc. One of the other things that Mr. Demise teaches is a genealogy class, and he has taken a field trip over to Wees Memorial and Burial Vault, and had them present to them what they do and some of the importance of and why they do the things the way they do. Miss Angela Weber had her students downtown after they researched some inspirational sayings and created some art, some chalk art and things down there that you may have seen. Miss Cologne's class, two things with her. One is she's focusing on reusable resources. So in place of sandwich bags, had her students create reusable sandwich wrappers. And also recently hosted East Shore Industries using excess donated garden produce to make salsa. Also just talk again briefly about the library. Our librarian is working hard to increase the number of books that are offered. We currently have 8,000 books. She's hoping to see that number grow to 15,000 this year. And she's specifically targeting some of the more basic reading skills that she's finding out that's a need that we have in this district. Moving on from bright spots, we met recently with some business partnerships. Both hopefully a new one and a couple of former ones, trying to see what we can do to reignite, I call it the metal side of the school there, but the fabricating, the welding, that kind of a deal. So we met with a representative from Precision, Wisconsin Waterjet, and Olson Fabrication, and discuss some of the challenges that they have staffing there or finding employees in their set industries, and also just exploring the idea of what we can do to sort of garner interest from our students in that area. So one of the conclusions we came to was that we need to probably revisit having a sort of a flashy or an engaging project. Either looking at building a go-kart again or a motorcycle or some one of those things that we've done in the past where the students can see the results of what machining looks like instead of what does just a part look like or some of that stuff. So anyways, good meeting. I think that we all understand each other a little better, which is also helpful. And then homecoming is coming up, as you heard, starting October 3rd. I won't go too much into that because it's already been talked about. Also, on October 3rd, our ELL teacher, Mrs. Nazario, will be taking the ELL group down to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and doing a campus tour. We'll also include our two, what do you call those, foreign exchange students on that trip. On September 22nd, the Potawatomi, we had several teachers that collaborated and took students to Potawatomi State Park. That included learning about natural sciences, English, history, and social studies. And those students, in addition to hiking that park, then will then use that experience to learn about some of the trees and the plants that grow there. Also, we'll be writing about it, and then Mr. Cruz will work in some of the history, social studies, like the public works projects and things like that that can be seen at the park. And coming up on October 27th, we will be, right now we're verbally committed to going to Door County Manufacturing Day, and that will depend on who's going to actually be highlighted on that day. But right now, tentatively, we have Base Shipbuilding, Hatco, Thermotronics, or TTX, and NEW Industries, so that's something that's coming up for our students.
Thank you for all of that.
Busy.
So the manufacturing day, that's when it's like all the different manufacturers have booths or something, or they actually go around to the different?
I think that they actually will travel to the businesses. I could be wrong on that. This would be my first one, obviously. And it's something that hasn't happened for a few years, so they are also getting restarted, I think, post-COVID. So I don't have a lot of details because they don't have them to give to me yet. So hopefully they'll be coming quickly.
And do we have a manufacturing day for around here?
So there is a Find Your Inspiration Day, which will be coming up at the KI Center that we'll take middle schoolers to, which will host a lot of area manufacturers, whether our Algoma ones will participate or not, I'm not sure. One of the things we did talk about in our partnership meeting with Precision Wisconsin Water Jet Nose Fabrication is creating field trips or at least connecting interested students with those businesses. So that will be done right now more on a one-on-one basis or on a class level, if a class is interested.
Yeah, well, I would hope that our local ones would participate in the KI Center, because we have some unique businesses here, and we don't have huge classes, so, you know, we can't meet all their needs, so maybe they can find some other. Sounds good. A lot of good things
Can't do
happening.
any tooth and manufacturing either?
As far as getting out to visit or as far as building partnerships?
Building partnerships, getting out.
Yes.
You got a wonderful time of the year right now, in the next 3 weeks. There's millions of dollars worth of equipment going out in the field that we can all eat next year.
Sure, I'll make a contact this week with Rick and see where we can go.
Anything else? Okay, moving on to you, Katie, Pathfinder, AVA, Algoma Venture Academy. People don't know what AVA is, and
Sure. I'll start with our community projects that some of our kids are getting involved in. So we have, Penny actually put together a lot of various community projects this year that kids could pick from, and they could also present their own. But we have beekeeping, we are learning bees in the spring, Almond Garden. So we have a beekeeping group, we have a beach and water testing group. So they met with somebody from UW Oshkosh last week who came and tested the beach water. And they learned the process of the different color flags on the beach and what they mean and what they do to determine what color the flag is each day. We have a group working on the Modus receiver, which we'll be getting at some point on the top of our school to track the purple martins. So right now they're working with Bird City, but it's all along the lake shore, from Milwaukee up to Door County. They will be having different Modus receivers in different areas, which can track the birds for up to 9 miles. So that is one of the groups. We have an aquaponics group, we have a group working with fork farms. We have a student who last year was able to work with some of our East Shore clients and really fell into a passion of working with them, so she started her own group to just work with just the East Shore clients. And we have another student on board, so they're planning their first activity for either this week or next week. They're gonna be making paper from scratch. And then after that, they're gonna be making their own crayons from scratch. So she is working to just do different activities with them. We have one group that is working on our chickens. We have chickens out back, which we've had since spring, but I don't think a lot of people knew about that. We currently have 4 of them, so that's been a really cool group because they are learning. They had to go to the city and figure out like different permits. Since we're in the city, we have to have permits for chickens. So they got to visit City Hall and see what everything, or how everything kind of runs there. We are going to be visiting Father Birdsall and his chicken chapel out in Brussels. Learning about chicken nutrition and chicken health, and in hopes to maybe hatch some more chickens too in the spring, because we have an incubator in there now, so.
So how many chickens will the city allow you to have? There's gotta be, they have to limit the number.
Well, per parcel, it's 4 if you have an outdoor enclosure, or 6 if you have an indoor enclosure. Technically, we're on 1 parcel of land, but the students are gonna talk to them and see.
No roosters, right?
No rooster, we currently have one, which was not supposed to be a rooster, so. We may also learn the circle of life here.
Are you good at that?
We are not done, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's been really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of things going on. We're partnering with, like I said, Bird City, Kathy Pavick, John Walsh. We have one young lady who is passionate about butterflies, so she is meeting with the local author of one of the Butterfly Kids books. I don't remember her name offhand. So yeah, kids are very busy there. To go along with that, we had student interviews, so each kid this year in ABA has to have a job. And they, for the first 2 weeks, wrote resumes and cover letters. And we brought in some community members, some of our admin team, some members of the governance board to interview them. So they weren't interviewed by anybody that they really knew or were that comfortable with. To give them more of like a real life experience. We had the general manager from Von Steel come in and interview some of our kiddos. So that was just a really cool experience for, I think, everybody involved. I got really positive feedback from the people who did the interviews. And the kids as well. They were super nervous, but they all pulled through and did a really awesome job. And then afterwards, they each got hired for a different job within ABA. Abigail, so Abigail went out to California last week and presented on a panel at the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine. And talked about our school model for ABA and how we build pathways for youth to engage and drive change within their community. It was really great because it was live streamed, so the kids all got to sit and watch her, and watch her present and watch her with the panel of people she was with. So it was a really cool thing for our kids to be able to see, you know, that, yeah, she's your ABA teacher, but there's also a greater world out there and the possibilities of things that they can do. So she did a really awesome job in the panel. She was pretty great too. It was a lot of people from like the Oakland area, who have grown up in all sorts of different backgrounds, so that was really awesome to see. And then the last thing is job shadows and internships. So yes, we have youth apprenticeship this year. I think we have between 4 and 6 kids taking advantage of that, but we also have a whole senior class of other kids that either can't fit in their schedule or don't necessarily have all the time, because the youth apprenticeship is pretty strict with their requirements. So you have to have 400 hours open to be able to do that. And so we have some kids who just really want to kind of dabble in different areas. They don't necessarily want to commit to one area. So I have been working with a bunch of kids in the senior class. I'm currently up to 10, getting them job shadows in all different areas. I have some that are going to Bellin, and HSHS for different medical areas. I have a student who's doing different job shadows in the speech and language pathology area. We have one student who's doing 911 dispatch in Kewaunee County, one who wants to do forensic interviews, cosmetology, just a whole plethora of different things that they don't necessarily know that they can commit to a full-time youth apprenticeship to, but want to be able to get experience in those areas. So I know that was, the apprenticeships was supposed to be a lot of my job this year, and then we took out youth apprenticeship. So I have been working with the kids that aren't necessarily doing the full youth apprenticeship, but still want experience. So that's actually been really cool for the kids. So.
Busy stuff.
Katie, have you got somebody in the bee business?
The bee bins?
business.
Bee business, you said you were keep bees out here?
Yeah, so Penny, well, we got all the stuff for it, we just are waiting to.
Dr. Gordon does that for
Yep.
honey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're connecting with
I
him.
know y'all on Katie, in fact, I got a quart of honey from him today.
Mhm. Yep, he's on our
For-
list. This guy too.
So you have an audit coming up,
We do, on Tuesday, for APA.
and how is everybody feeling about that?
I think after we had a pre-visit on September 12th, and after that, I felt a lot better about it. I mean, we pretty much had everything done already, and I think at that point, a lot of schools hadn't started yet. So when she's like, oh, where are you guys at? We're like, well, we're pretty much done, and she's like, oh, okay, like, that's awesome, and we already turned in our whole folder of stuff.
Okay,
So I'm actually feeling a lot better about that after our initial pre-audit.
well, it's always a little uncomfortable, especially the first year, after the first year, the first audit, and, you know, I mean.
But they're not coming, so we're doing it all virtual anyway.
Oh, okay,
So.
yeah, and I'm sure the intent is as much to be helpful, you know, as, you know, trying to catch you on something, you know, given that we're brand new, but, well, that's great, wonderful.
I would say Katie and her team has been working extremely hard on getting everything ready, organized. Katie's put together how many binders? 13 binders. So
Okay.
part of the audit is dropping things into digital folders, which they've been working on, but the other part is interview questions, and so getting everyone prepared for those that they're gonna meet with.
Okay,
Question, can you tell me that National Academy of Science, what and what?
I had to write it down too. It's the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine.
Engineering and who?
medicine.
Oh, okay.
I had an opportunity to watch that panel discussion that Abigail was on, and to me, it was really remarkable how the whole conversation turned once she spoke, because she was the last one on the panel. And this group from Oakland, one of the people commented, I wish I had had an educational experience like that. I went all the way through high school feeling like nobody cared for me at all.
One more question. Are we, you know, you talked about the internships, are we gonna utilize the CISA 7
Yeah, that's the youth
internship?
apprenticeship, so she's here every Monday.
Okay, because I did talk to Casey to see how it was going, and she said very, very well, so that was,
Yeah, I think they have 4 or 6 kids that they're.
So that's what,
yeah, she said it's going well, and, you know, so far they've been coming up to what they said they were gonna do, so, and that was my big concern, were they be able to come through, so.
right. So that's the distinction you made in your report, is that the youth apprenticeship, which you had been expecting to have to manage because we have that contract,
Right.
that's the 4 to 6 kids, and you're working with 10 other seniors that are gonna dabble in different things without a full apprenticeship. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Any other questions? Okay, who's gonna do the special ed wellness report?
You wanna take these?
I can share that.
Okay.
I mean, Marie gave me the snapshot that she was wanting to share with you. And I think it's pretty noteworthy. She kind of highlighted the important parts. That currently district-wide, we have 17% of our student population receiving special education services. That is not including that first bullet point up there where we have an additional 10 special education referrals that are currently being processed. So I think that's definitely interesting to note, especially this time of year, being the beginning of the year. She then broke it down into elementary school, middle high school, including ADA and Pathfinder, so that you can see how many students lie in each of those categories. The other thing I think she wanted to point out, I feel like I'm jumping around a little bit, but back on the first page of the second bullet point, so we've had 7 new transfers in, 5 are currently enrolled, and then we have 6 special education students that are open enrolled in. So that is important to note. And then on the back, we just wanted to make a couple notes. She says we're likely to have 2 additional students that have been referred to qualify for having a disability and needing special education services requiring significant support. And then we have 2 full-time speech and language pathologists, which is different from last year. 60 students requiring speech and language services, not including 9 that are new referrals. And then we do have 1 speech language paraprofessional, so that is an increase there in terms of staffing resources, in terms of human capital there. And then she did break down those speech and language caseloads. So Ashley Brown, formerly Ashley Hyde, has 33 students, and then our new SLP, Angela, has 27. And then the para supports all of those students as we did. And then she just kind of created a table here to show the different special education staff and how many students are on each of their respective caseloads. You can see that definitely varies by individual, but the reason for that sometimes lies in the needs of the students and what level of support they need. So you might see someone who has a caseload of 15 or 14 compared to a caseload of 5 or 4, but just know that some of those, that's very much student need based, requiring significant other resources. So I don't know, Justin, is there anything you want to add that you felt like was noteworthy from
Did a wonderful job. The only thing I know that's in the works right now is we have 1 referral from a private school,
I was just gonna comment on that too.
which is unique, I think, for this district. We don't often get those, so
Well, St. Paul's is also trying to start their own type of special ed program. I'm not sure what that quite looks like yet, but there were comments like made to Ashley about, oh, now we can advertise that we have a speech and language pathologist available.
So they will be
that's
using ours.
correct.
Mhm.
So it's going to get interesting real quick.
They have 78 kids
Yeah.
enrolled.
Mm-hmm.
I informed them on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting when that all comes to an end.
When they use our staffing, there's no money exchange, is there? That's just, okay, just want to clarify that.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in some of the research that we've been doing on this, as far as like actual special education services outside of speech, the district is not required to provide those services. So we have to do the evaluation, we have to create the learning plan, but we don't necessarily have to support those students.
Other than the speech therapy.
And title, yeah.
yeah, usually speech, OT, PT, those are the
Yeah.
specialties that usually districts have to provide.
Which are the expensive professions.
Yeah, so it's really interesting.
Yeah,
And we receive no compensation anyway for that from the state or the school or,
No, we just,
So Katie, on page 2 at the top, requiring significant support, are you talking one-to-one support?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then some of those related services, like speech, OT,
Do we have the staffing right now to do that?
yeah, that was my next question. It looks like we have a huge potential influx of, I mean,
Yeah.
those that are being evaluated and new referrals. And I know we've just tried to beef up the staffing a little bit, but,
Okay.
It's definitely something we'll have to look at.
We have to get creative,
Yeah.
right? And there's definitely some needs, and the kids are in the district now, they're not new, I mean, they're already here, they're our kids, so.
The one up here hasn't started yet. They're technically enrolled, but just haven't started yet due to some significant needs.
Okay, well,
We'll address that too.
I think, again, the new budgets, I mean, the ESSER, we'll do what we can to support. Again, those are kids that have probably taken a huge hit with the lack of being in school and all of that too. So we can use ESSER. The new budget is recognizing, hopefully, this time it will actually pass through the legislature, the need, for more special ed funds to actually really come this time.
Yeah, we were, in Algoma, we were lucky with the pandemic, and so to speak, because past administration kept us open. We didn't
Right.
close,
Right.
like a lot of schools did for almost
Right.
2 years.
Right.
So, kudos to them that we stayed open, so that was a help, but still, kids did suffer.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was, challenging time for everyone. Okay, so we have gotten through special ed wellness. Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, committee reports. 2 different committees met, the finance committee.
Yes, we met on September 7th with Lisa Voisin, is that how you pronounce her name? Voisin?
Yes.
Okay, from Baird. She was quite helpful. We talked about the different budget, well, how that, it's hard to do anybody realizes what school financing is, it's a nightmare because they want your budgets in, but you don't know how much money you're gonna have until after your budget's in. That's just how it works. So we wouldn't, it's hard to pinpoint the budget down because we didn't have the third Friday count yet, so that will shore that up. I think it's probably gonna stay just about the same, might change a little bit, but, so we talked about that. We also talked about the $64,000, $625 that we're getting from the $90 million from the state. Kind of earmarking that for maybe for mental health services, because we need to really, that's, the mental health is so, it affects everybody. It doesn't affect you, I've said this before, it affects your family, it affects everybody around you. So if we can address that, that helps everybody. And we also talked about the scenarios, because right now we're paying off our debt, but we talked about the scenarios about keeping the mill rate stable, because we don't want to go down that path we were 15 years ago, where we were counting pencils, couldn't buy textbooks, laying off teachers. We don't want to go down that path. So she presented us with 3 different scenarios that we can look at. And actually, it isn't bad. Depending on how everything goes, the mill rate might go down, but your taxes won't go up. And so that's important that we, can't stress enough how important it is to keep that mill rate stable. And then we just discussed hiring a firm to determine the future needs of the district, but not just structural needs, in-house needs, staffing, things like that. So,
Classroom stuff.
yeah.
And I think you and the budget team basically internally are gonna be trying to shape it up this week.
That's correct, yes.
And then you wanted another finance committee meeting before our budget hearing, so
Correct. So,
we need to come up with a
okay.
date.
yeah, so Wednesday, Mary Blaha from Baird will be with us all day. We'll be hammering out the final budget numbers as best as we can. We still are waiting on some numbers from the state yet on what aid is gonna look like. But we have a pretty good idea, so we'll be able to put that together. We'll propose that or bring that to the finance committee and then to the full board for the budget meeting in October, on October 24th.
So, do you wanna try and pick a date now?
Okay.
Pat, Dave, and Amy? Obviously, that would be one well, I guess I shouldn't say obviously, is that one that we'd wanna have, Lisa or Mary or somebody with us. I'm sort of
Yeah,
thinking that
Mary
might
would
be
be
helpful.
probably the best one
Okay.
for this piece. Let me just throw some times and dates out.
After 11, or after 10:30.
Is the 12th too late? October 12th? Is it too
No.
close to the
I don't think so.
budget
Yeah,
meeting?
because that,
It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
That is the same day as our later meeting at 5. But if we're
Yes.
talking, what time's good for you, Dave?
well, like last time, 10:30 in the morning,
Okay.
not before that though, because,
At your house, Dave?
sure.
That'd be best?
Okay, October 12th.
On the 12th, okay.
I don't know why, but something sticks in my mind for the cold fall.
Well, if that doesn't work, just, we'll relook at it. But for now, let's go with that. Any other questions from the board for that? Okay. So the other one was the Policy and Practice Committee meeting. And you'll notice in the action items on your agenda that there are a whole bunch of policies listed under action item 5, which are not included in your packet at all because they basically are just tailoring them to our district. They aren't changing any substantive meaning of them. It might be putting in an email, it might be, doing this, that, or the other thing. So the way we are doing it as a committee, because there's a whole bunch to go through, we decided as a committee we would meet monthly for a while. And that the ones that just require our eyes on to make sure there isn't anything different, doesn't require copying for everybody on the board. The ones that have some changes, which are the ones that are approval of revised policies, that's action item number 6. Basically, the ones that we went through, there's a bylaws and policies. We changed it so that every policy doesn't require 2 readings, because we thought since we have a policy committee going through it with fine-tooth comb, comes to the board, the full board has the opportunity to take a look at it, that we don't just need to keep dragging things on and on after that. So that was the one change we made. The electoral process, we realized, and it was our astute secretary that noticed this, that in our policy, it talked about nomination papers. Well, in our district, we have declarations of candidacy and candidacy papers, but we don't require nomination papers, like for an alderperson position where you have to get signatures and all of that. So that was the only thing changed on this, was removing the nomination papers, part of it. The philosophy of the board was a brand-new policy that is just fine, and we didn't do any changes on it, but that's included. So these are the ones that were in your packet, so you had the opportunity to look at them. The oath, I think it had something to do with just the timing and when you could take the oath of office. And vacancies, that was just another one that we didn't change anything on, I don't believe.
We had to add the section at the bottom for the unified school district.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was new.
that was it, okay. Yes, because we are a unified school. We sometimes have to modify the policies that way because we are, the smaller proportion of districts are unified. Common and, what's the other one? Union and Common are the other two.
There's a K-8 and then there's the high school union, I believe.
Yeah, so, yeah, anyway. So those are the ones, nothing drastic. And like I said, we realized as a committee that we, in order to try and plow through these several hundred in reasonable chunks, that the committee is just gonna meet every month. Jesse is gonna bring them to the committee. We will take the time to go through it and bring the ones where there's any changes. And the ones that we're just altering to, make them for our district, we'll just put the numbers in for approval, but we won't, there's no purpose of having a committee if we're gonna have every board member look at every single policy, that they're updating. And it's simply because they've just issued us a whole new set of update, and so we just have to look at every
We
one of them.
could go back to that big white.
Yeah,
No,
our three, yeah.
no.
Yeah, we've tried to do it ourselves, yes. And again, to just remind the board, we don't have a lot of options with these policies because they are scrutinized from a legal standpoint. They are meant to meet every state statute and federal requirement. And so we don't want to mess with it too much because then we don't have the protection of what the legal backing would have, so. Okay, so we set a meeting for our next meeting for October 20th,
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. All right, current COVID statistics.
0 as far as I know.
Well, that is a nice number. Are we trying to get the, do we have anything online that states that it's 0? Are we trying to have that posted? Dashboard, that's the word for it.
Do we still have the dashboard in place, Jesse?
It was last time I checked, but I don't know if the new nurses updated it or not.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like there's much to update, but I think, but I think the fact that it is 0 is certainly something that would be good to have up there as well. And I think in that document that you had us looking at, we did talk about that we are in the safe return.
Correct,
That we
yeah.
are doing a dashboard, so. Okay. Other items for discussion? Anything? Okay, we'll keep going. I need a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes of August 22nd, 2022, the Finance Committee meeting minutes of September 7th, 2022, and Policy and Practice Committee meeting minutes of September 13th, 2022.
So move.
Motion made by Pat. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to accept and approve the presentation of the bills that were given to us.
I so move.
Go ahead.
Ann and
Jennifer.
Jennifer. Questions or discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I need a motion to approve the annual academic and career planning plan that was submitted by Casey.
I'll move.
A second.
Motion made by Chris, seconded by Jennifer. The only comment I will make on it is I believe it has our old school motto on there.
Yeah, I noticed that too, I circled it.
So,
It's right down here.
This?
That's the old model. That's the old model, yeah.
yeah, because I believe the new, what we're going with is the Ignite, Engage, Connect.
Put that up
Or
there.
the, I guess, offering opportunities for all to thrive. I'm not sure, or building opportunities for all to thrive. I guess that's maybe something you can clarify with your admin.
I believe that's a footer on that document, and that's why it probably didn't get changed, so.
Well, and we've always had our little phrase at the bottom of our letterhead. So whatever it is that we're,
On the bottom
Doing
of
now.
that, yep.
yeah, let's try and keep it consistent. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve policy PO 2266, the Title IX regulations. We had our reading with any comments, and so this is just the final approval now. Can I have a motion?
I'll move.
Motion made by Ann, do I hear a second? Second by Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve policies PO 0100, 0111, 0112, 0113, 0115, 0121, 0122, 132.1, 132.2, 133, 141, 141.1, 142.2, and 142.3.
So move.
Motion made by Pat, do I hear a second?
I second.
Second by Jennifer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the revised policies, PO 0131.1, 0142.1, 0142.4, 0142.5, and the new policy 0123.
I'll move.
Motion
second.
made by Ann, seconded by Jennifer. Questions or discussion on any of those? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. I need a motion and a second, then we can proceed with discussion and make some decisions here. Unless you want to do a little introduction, since we have some. We're talking about 7, the SRO School Resource Officer. Yeah, I think it probably is something we're gonna have to table. But I think we should have some discussion on it.
As to why we're tabling it?
Yes, since it is it's a action item.
So they come back with a reasonable offer, that's all the discussion I need on that.
Okay, so we have an alternative to this action item, and I believe it stems from some additional information that has come to our attention since. To have a motion to table the school resource officer contract with the city of Algoma. So I have a
I'd
motion by
second that
Dave
motion.
and seconded by Jennifer. Now let's discuss.
Okay, what do we
We are tabling
we are
it.
tabling it, and you and Jennifer?
Dave,
Barb,
Dave
Dave and Jennifer to
I'm
table.
sorry. Dave and,
Okay,
but if you want.
so we are going to discuss and then we will have the vote on it.
Yes, so the initial contract that we were looking at, working with the city administrator, the chief of police, we had our legal counsel, who also represents the city as well, be involved with this, and came up with the contract that was included in your packet that you have.
And the safety committee that,
The
yeah,
safety
you were
committee, correct.
intimately involved in getting all the wording and all of that.
Correct,
Yeah.
yep. We looked at multiple different contracts from other school districts, law enforcement agencies, and used pieces that we liked from all of those to kind of build this, but also look at what was in place prior to this year with the district that we had. So Exhibit A on the last page of the contract shows what the cost of the hourly rate would be for the district for '22, the increase for '23, again, increase for '24 and '25 projected out. Those are estimate costs. The City Finance Committee met last Tuesday to review this contract that you had in front of you, and they came back with the proposed information that's you were given tonight with the new hourly rate of $58.20. That includes a lot of, or the vacation, the sick leave, the holidays, the benefit package, which includes life insurance, medical benefits, unemployment, I'm sorry, workers' compensation, Medicare, Social Security.
Well, it's everything.
Correct.
Everything that an employee,
Correct. The overhead costs that you see as the 5% on the contract includes the cost of a squad car use, the administrative cost, the uniform, and training.
Et cetera, whatever et cetera is.
So, the difference between what the original contract that we were looking at and brought through the committee and what the city finance committee is a difference of over $12 an hour.
They accrue 20 hours of sick leave a month? Is that more than you guys accrue?
and I'd say,
I don't even get that much.
I haven't had a sick day in years.
That's because you don't get sick. I'm being facetious.
It's totally unreasonable. I think we're wasting our time talking about it.
well, we are,
Tremendous amount.
I guess there's two different issues. I think generally the consensus is that this financially makes this not feasible. So it has to go back to the drawing board, and we have to decide, I mean, some of the things that we have to look at are we going to go back to something more like what we had last year, which is less hours? And then I would expect that everything would be prorated down, so even the hourly cost should be less for those less hours.
But you're gonna want the same for hours.
Well, if we are
We're just
not,
buying less hours, Barb.
if we are using somebody part-time and they have them part-time, we shouldn't pay their entire everything.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So, this current contract was basically to have them full-time. And so they put everything but the kitchen sink in there.
And as a comparison to what we had paid last year, I had asked for that information, we were paying $46.25 per hour last year.
And their contract was to have him here 2 or 3 days a week, depending on what they could.
Roughly 20 hours a week.
Which we never really saw too much of that officer in the schools.
Well, and, yeah,
I question the back page, 6 days on, 3 days off, is that just a typo?
Yeah, I questioned that too. There were some things I just didn't understand.
well,
And
and
if that's what that is, that's just a typo?
They didn't adjust that to what his actual work days would, that's the typical, that's their typical work
Yeah.
schedule. That's, I don't even know if that's, yeah, that is correct.
So,
I mean, the other thing about it is, they're talking about a 12-month contract. Obviously, we only need it for a school year, and we haven't accounted for the fact that there are, they want us to pay in this all his vacation time, but the school calendar has a lot of vacation time built into it. So I think, those are all issues that have to be looked at, because, yes.
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions.
yeah. One of the things that stuck out for me was like the retirement per month, $620 a month for the retirement. But I remember when Act 10 went in, the police force was exempt from that.
Yeah, I think they still are.
And it actually depends on when you were hired as well. I believe it was 2011 or 2012. Anybody hired after that pays, the individual pays more and the department pays less.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Unless you've worked it out with your
No, that's
standard, okay.
standard
There's no-
across the
there's
board.
no
There's no
negotiation?
negotiating. No, none.
Okay, interesting. What did you say, Chris, between 2011 and 2012?
It was somewhere in those lines where,
Anytime after that?
yes,
That'd be
anybody
interesting.
hired after that, the individual pays more and the department pays less.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so I guess the next question is, who is going to investigate, and does this require a safety committee meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Safety, but also I think finance committee too. Because this is gonna impact the budget differently than what we had projected. But
Yeah, well, I don't think we need a finance committee meeting to say, none of us feel that this is, that we could afford it at this. It's just not feasible. Even with ESSER and everything else, I mean, the idea is, they're talking a huge chunk, I don't know, of money. So which we weren't planning on,
How about $23,000?
more than the original contract.
Yep.
Yeah.
Barb, do you have a-
Okay.
Not to be argumentative with you, because we always got along, and I don't wanna argue. But I have a statement to make.
Certainly.
If we think we need them during the school year, what makes you think we don't need them in the summertime with everything that goes on? And they're supposed to be building relationships with the students. Don't they have to do that all year? I'm just saying, if we need them, we need them. But if we need them all year, not
Okay.
9 months, and then in that 9 months have another month, almost, or a month and a half off for vacation and holidays.
Well, I think,
There's another line in there where it says, we'll get paid during, if there would be a disturbance. And wouldn't the police force be here if we had a disturbance? Isn't that what we pay taxes for? I got so mad when I read this, I wouldn't have to heat my house till January.
yeah, I see your point totally about summertime. And so maybe we are looking at, 12 months, but less hours per week.
But what would they do in summer if there's no kids here? What would they do?
I don't know.
See, that's my question. What would we be paying them
But there are
for?
kids here, aren't there? We got all kinds of summer programs.
summer
Not all
school usually
summer
runs to the end
long.
of June.
We got summer school.
And football practice starts the middle of August.
Yeah.
And Wolf Den runs almost the whole summer.
And if they're building relationships, you don't quit. You
Right.
don't quit in June and start over again in
So
September.
my understanding is Brad, who was in this position last year, did a lot of that over the summer already with Wolf Den, stopping in when the kids were there. He's already done it this year, and we don't have anything in place formally. He's
That
stopping
should be
in at Wolf.
part of his job as an Algoma and Kiwanee County taxpayers employee.
Okay,
Enough said on my part, I'm done.
I think it wouldn't hurt to have preliminary decisions if the safety committee can meet before our next finance committee. Maybe some of what their initial proposal is could come to that committee in terms of the budget. I don't know though, because we're meeting pretty quickly.
Chris, are you all year in Dark County?
No, no.
Just one question, Chris, the SROs in the Door County school system, are they 12 months, are they
No.
10 months, are they 9 months, are they?
Their school year,
They are-
they've
oh.
got a set number of hours
Okay, just was wondering.
that they've agreed upon.
Well, based on 180 days, what, is the work in school 180 days, most likely?
I think they just upped it to 1,800 hours, so whatever that comes down to.
Okay, it's good to know.
So then what does the department do with those officers during summer vacation?
Typically, they're assigned to patrol, or that's where they use the majority of their vacation time. Because they only want them taking so many days off during the school year.
Yeah, that would make sense.
6 weeks of sick leave?
Okay, well,
Try to
does,
schedule?
does the safety committee want to try and schedule? That's you, Chris?
Okay.
You know, afternoons work best for you, right?
I've got next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if anybody's available.
The first part of.
Tuesday, we could do,
Talking Tuesday, October 4th?
That's what
Yeah.
they're looking at.
3 o'clock? Is that too late?
Okay.
At 2 o'clock, you said,
3
right?
o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Did you say 3?
Mhm.
3.
Oh, that's okay, too.
So, in the meantime, you can get back to the city and tell them that we have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to table item 7 to be brought up at one of the meetings in the future, depending on how quickly we can get some of this resolved. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the emergency management plan with the understanding that little tweaks are gonna be put in there to make sure that it's clear to all parties using it.
On the missing child one?
Yeah.
I think it's just your protocol, what do you want?
Right,
What do you want the
just
staff to do,
Right.
Yeah.
and then,
And it may look different between elementary and.
Right.
yes, do you want the staff, on the intercom saying we're missing child, or do you want that reported to administration and may do it, that?
Right. But it'd be nice if we can get this approved so we can get these in the
Mhm.
classroom.
I move we approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion made by Jennifer, seconded by Ann. Any further discussion on it?
With the proposed changes, right?
Okay, what is that change?
Well, the proposed with clarifications, I think, is the way we really should put it. Because I don't know that we're changing anything. We just want it clarified on there.
Responsibilities.
With the role clarification.
Making sure that the staff side and the admin side match.
And that's
Okay,
only regarding the missing student, right?
okay, but you have administration calling the student's name over the PA,
Right.
but you have the staff emailing,
That's where I think,
I'm assuming administration.
Well, that's what he's saying. It has to,
no, the administration would email
procedure.
staff
Yeah, that's,
to check their email.
again, I think it's more of a clarification of roles here.
Okay, just clarify it, so it's clear. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We had revisions to the employee handbook. Basically, it was just taking out all of our old COVID-19 language and replacing it with what we approved at the last meeting. So I need a motion to approve the revisions to employee handbook as presented in your packet.
So move.
Motion made by Pat.
I'll second.
Seconded by Chris. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the band and choir trip to New York City, March 30th, 2023 through April 5th, 2023.
I'll move.
Motion made by Ann. Do I hear a second?
Aye.
Seconded by Jennifer. Questions, discussion?
Is any, the only thing I worry about is the crime in New York City. You know, I just want to make sure that the kids are,
Chaperone. Supervised.
well, supervised, I mean, you don't know what's happening. You could be walking down the street and be attacked, you don't know. That's my only concern about picking New York City, but I guess it could happen everywhere, but
I was gonna say,
it's
I
rampant,
think
you know, it's on the rise in New York City, everybody's gotta admit that it's on the rise, there's a lot more crime,
Everywhere.
yeah, but the big cities are the worst. That's my only concern about this, if you wanna convey that to, well, when I see Jen, I'll tell her the same thing, but, you know.
I mean, I think the places that, first of all, it looks like a really fun trip.
It does, it absolutely does.
And opportunities to perform, which I think is really exciting. And I think that the places are public enough. And, you know, it's not like off in some little dark corner, you know, of some little park or something that they're gonna perform. So I think they'd,
I don't think that makes a difference anymore if it's public or not. But anyway, that's my only concern. Just, you know, they need to be aware of that when they go, to be aware of your surroundings.
My guess is they're using a travel agency group too,
Okay.
who specializes in working with school
Okay.
groups. There are many out there that, you know, make sure that the buses are safe, that they get the kids in earlier so they don't have to stand in line for a lot of the tourist places, so. But we will talk with Jen on that.
Take them to Cleveland, didn't you?
Pardon?
Take them to Cleveland, you kept us all safe.
Yes. I didn't carry my gun though.
okay, we have a motion and a second, I believe, do we?
Yeah, we do.
We do? Okay.
We do.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. The safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services plan for 22-23 school year.
Yes, so this is that plan in your document or your packet. This is very similar to what you approved, I believe, last year. This is just an updated version. It needs to be updated every 6 months. So the biggest change is just changing the school year on the title page, but also probably the last page that updates that masks are no longer required. They are optional for those that want to wear them. The testing availability for the district that we have, and that this plan is posted on our district website for anyone to view, and that there'll be community public input or comment at the next board meeting.
Let's get a motion and a second, and then I have some comments on things I noticed.
Okay, so move.
All right, motion by Pat, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ann. Okay, so you have described, Jesse, the reason for this, it's required. And when I was just going through it, if we look at page 5, we don't talk about the portable units that we had in, are we still using those in the elementary school classrooms? And if we're not, what are we doing with them? Because they certainly could be useful in big areas and things when we have
I'm
things.
gonna refer to our building leaders, but from what I've seen when I've been in the classrooms, it's individual, up to each, all the rooms have them,
Okay,
but they may not.
okay, but we don't even mention them in here, I guess, and I think we should make sure we show that we have, that we do have these, because we did purchase them with ESSER money. and this is sort of a, partially a response to that. On that same page, diagnostic and screening testing, the Algoma School District recommends students and staff get tested for COVID by their medical provider or local pharmacy. What about home testing? Because that really wasn't available, you know, when these plans first came out, but now I think, I think we should throw it in there as
Yep.
an option. And then the last sort of question comment, because I know that I had heard that the nurse was putting a questionnaire out, maybe you even said that in one of your reports, in terms of on-site vaccination possibilities. So we have in here that everyone was provided on-site vaccination clinics in spring of ’21, and summer in '21, and I just didn't know. You say all eligible staff employed in '22-23 were provided opportunity, but if we did do an on-site vaccination clinic, I think we should, again, just get it in there as something we did, that's all.
And is there anything in there about parental consent? If you're gonna add that, you know, we have an on-staff or on-site vaccination area designated, whatever, should we have something in there about parental consent? We're telling you are provided access to it. Good.
Can you even get the vaccine though without parental consent?
Yeah, you
You're
can't
under-
get it.
But I don't think it hurts to say comma with parental consent.
Just
And
to- yes.
frankly,
Peace of mind for parents.
so are we saying in past tense or for a future on-site? When you're talking about peace of mind for parents?
I would say any time that you are talking about
About it,
vaccinating
we should
kids, you
say
might
it.
as well put with parental consent,
consent,
because
yeah.
that's how it's done anyway. So
Right.
that way they know.
Right, exactly. But if we're gonna put anything about, yeah, no, that's fine.
So then if we wanted to have another clinic, you know, when the Omicron variant
Right.
bivalent comes out.
Okay, and then my other comment was on page 7, because I believe summer meals were provided through more than July 2021.
They all summer they don't do that, you know.
This year of 2022. Haven't we been giving meals?
There were free summer lunches through the YMCA, but that's not necessarily linked to COVID. That's the same free summer lunches that have always happened, and the backpack program continues. But again, that was pre-COVID too, so not really different.
So the ones that we provided through July 2nd, 2021 were through the school district? Okay,
Through
and that's the difference.
USDA, yeah.
And the others, we did do it, we just had different arrangements. I
Right,
mean,
the why.
it was received, okay. And I don't think they care continuity of services, I think they are just specifically talking about what the district does. So that answers my question there. Those were my comments. Anybody else have anything? Okay, we have a motion and a second. You will update,
Yes.
okay?
Bring it back to next meeting?
Or can we just approve it with the,
I think
Recommended
we can
changes?
approve it with the recommended changes. Who, did you make the motion?
I
you-
think I did.
Pat and Ann,
So do you amend
That's
your
fine.
motion to with
Yes.
recommended changes?
Include the
Okay.
revisions, yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve final entries to close out the 2021-2022 school year. believe that's what was on at your place.
Like, either this one or this one, yep, if you get the vertical one.
Yeah, that's
So, last week, our auditors got back to us late last week on just a couple of revisions that just needed to be made, that, they were still waiting on information from the state before we could finalize them, so these are just costs that accrued last year that we are looking to add to the budget from last year.
And these were based on the auditing
Correct.
changes.
And we anticipated these costs.
Do I have a motion?
I move.
Motion made by Jennifer, do I have a second? Second by Dave. Questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We don't need to change any COVID mitigation practices. Requests for future agenda items. All right. I need a motion to go into executive session under Wisconsin statutes 19.85, subsection 1 C, E, F, and I for the purpose of personnel matters, hires, staffing, and resignation.
So moved.
Motion by Pat, do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Jennifer. Roll call vote, Dave.
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Chris.